Hi everyone, my name is Shelby. Welcome back to my channel, Grace with Books. Today I'm going to be giving some book recommendations for the Taurus season. So Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac and it lasts from April 20th to May 20th. And I am a Taurus, so I thought it would be kind of fun to look for books with Taurus attributes and recommend you guys them for the next month. I do not claim to be an expert at anything having to do with astrology. I know my sun sign, which is Taurus obviously, but I have no idea what my moon or my rising sign is, and I also don't know what those mean. It's definitely something I'm interested to learn more about because I think it's fascinating, but I do know a bit about my own sun sign, Taurus, and I used that information to help me pick out some books for this list. So if you are a Taurus, you are typically dependable, affectionate, patient, and stubborn. When looking for books, I really tried to look for books that feature a strong friendship, have very loyal characters, take place in nature or have kind of an earthy tone because Taurus is an earth sign, and books that have a bit of a survival story in it, or books with really independent characters, because those to me are all attributes of a Taurus. So I have 5 books to share with you guys today, and I tried to make sure they were each a bit different in terms of genre and age range because I really wanted to have something for everyone on this list. So I have young adult fantasy, but if you're not a fan of fantasy, then I have dystopian. If you don't like dystopian, there's a romance on this list, and if you don't like any of that, there's a classic on this list. So I really tried to spread out the books that I'm recommending so that there really is something for everyone. And if you can think of any books that feature those attributes that I mentioned just now, I would love to hear them, so put them in the comments so more people can get some more recommendations for the Taurus season. Let's get started with the first book on my list, The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. So The Kiss Quotient follows Stella Lane, who uses math to kind of understand the world. She has Asperger's, so she has a bit of trouble connecting with people, and she's really focused on her job and mathematics because that's what makes sense to her. But she decides that if she wants to enter a relationship, she needs to learn how to be comfortable with intimacy. So she hires a male escort to kind of teach her the basics of intimacy. She hires this escort named Michael Fan, and she has a whole list of things she wants to check off that she believes will help her engage in intimacy with a romantic partner. But as Michael and Stella embark on this lesson in intimacy, they start to develop feelings for the other. This is just such a charming and sweet book about 2 people so stubborn to realize that they like each other. This book will absolutely have you blushing with how smart it is and how sexy it is. It is just such a fun romance, and I really love the Asperger's representation. Helen Huang, the author, also has Asperger's, so the fact that she has this entire series that focuses on heroes and heroines with mental illness is just so incredibly special, and I recommend her whole series, but The Kiss Quotient happens to be the first one, and I definitely think this has a bunch of Taurus attributes. As I said, they're both very stubborn and they are both very set in their ways, but they are so loyal to their families and their friends. It is just such a cute romance, so highly recommend The Kiss Quotient. Next up, I have a very famous YA dystopian book, and even though you may have already read it, I think that Taurus season is the perfect time for a reread, and that would be The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. If you've been living under a rock for the past 10 plus years, The Hunger Games follows Katniss Everdeen, who lives in this dystopian society called Panem, where the country is essentially split up into factions, and every single year 2 children from each of the districts within this country are sent to this arena to fight to the death as punishment for rebellion years ago. It is definitely a survival story. It definitely involves the earth and nature, which is once again a big thing about Taurus. And our main heroine, Katniss, is literally the epitome of a Taurus. Like, you cannot convince me that she is not a Taurus, because despite her unfriendly demeanor, she is a loyal friend, a loyal daughter, and a fierce protector of her district and of her people. I really do love The Hunger Games. I reread the first book last year, I think, and it was just so nice to come back to that world that is, yes, bleak, but also there's like a lot of hope there and there's a lot of strength within that society. It's just such an amazing series. It's one of my favorite movie adaptation series. I often feel like book to movie adaptations are not well done, but I really loved how they did the Hunger Games movies, so that's another plus. And yeah, I just think Hunger Games is such a Taurus book. The next book I'm going to recommend is a classic, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is just an absolute classic. As I said, I feel like if you haven't read Little Women, you've at least heard of it, or you've seen the movies, or you've seen some kind of adaptation of it, or the play, or anything like that, because it is just such a well-known story. Little Women follows the lives of four sisters, Amy, Meg, Beth, and Jo, and they are all so headstrong and so independent and so unique. And you follow them from when they were children playing with each other all the way to adulthood. This kind of glance at their life is just so fascinating, and getting to see these characters grow up through the pages of the book was just so wonderful to read about, and I absolutely love this edition. This is the 150th anniversary edition, so like I said, it's an old one, but a classic. And as I said, the March Girls are headstrong and loyal, and if any of them specifically is a Taurus, I'm going to say that Amy is a Taurus. So Amy is the youngest March sister, and she is stubborn and persistent in getting what she wants, but she also loves her sisters so much. She loves so deeply, but she would do anything for them, and I really see a lot of Taurus qualities in her. So definitely, if you're looking to pick up a classic within the next month and you haven't picked up Little Women, highly recommend. The fourth book I have for this list is a young adult fantasy book, and that would be Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Six of Crows is about a band of misfits coming together to complete this epic heist. Each of them has a unique role to play and secrets, and throughout this duology you really see these characters banding together, starting off a bit rocky, but then growing together as loyal, protective friends. Six of Crows focuses really heavily on found family, which is one of my personal favorite tropes, because family isn't always the people who share your blood. Sometimes it's the people you meet along the way, and this book is just a really great example of that, and it is filled with some of the most stubborn people I have ever read about. I'm looking at you, Cass Brecker. Six of Crows has also been adapted along with its prequel series, Shadow and Bone, into a Netflix show, so if you are done reading all these books, highly recommend checking out that show. I personally love it. I'm so excited for season 2 whenever that may come out. But yeah, Six of Crows is definitely a Taurus book. The final book I'm going to share with you guys today is actually a middle grade classic, and that would be Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Alice in Wonderland is about an imaginative girl named Alice who accidentally follows a rabbit through a hole and ends up in this magical, whimsical, kind of frightening land called Wonderland, where there are fantastical creatures, evil queens, and so much more. In the Alice in Wonderland books, animated movie, live action portrayal, Alice is portrayed as very sure of herself and very courteous to others. She has very good manners despite being thrown into a whole new world, but she is also very stubborn and has a little bit of a temper. Alice is someone who is skeptical of authority and can act a bit rash sometimes, but who always is up for a little bit of adventure and a little bit of curiosity. Alice in Wonderland was one of my favorite books as a kid. I absolutely loved Alice, and I was constantly looking for rabbits to follow down a hole as a kid. I actually kind of feel like I'm dressed like her today. That wasn't even on purpose, but yeah, just shows how much I love Alice in Wonderland and that whole story, and I definitely see her as a bit of a headstrong Taurus type character. And those were the 5 books I'm going to recommend to you guys for the Taurus season. I absolutely love being a Taurus. I love that it's connected to spring and to nature. My birthday is actually only 3 days away from today, so that's super exciting, and I'm someone who really looks forward to their birthday because it'll give me an excuse to buy books, because I have been on a book buying ban all year. So really excited for Wednesday. And that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to comment down below any recommendations you have for Taurus season. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Hit the notification bell to get updates on when I post. I post every single week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!